When my aunt called to tell me that I was not invited to my grandmother's will reading, I actually laughed. Not because it was funny, but because I didn't know what else to do. My voice cracked when I said, "You're joking, right?" But she wasn't. She said, "Your grandma didn't want you there. It's a family-only event." I wanted to scream, "I am family." But instead, I hung up the phone and sat there in silence, shaking. Tell me, what would you have done if your entire family decided you didn't belong, right after losing the only person who ever loved you like you mattered? Let me start from the beginning, because maybe then it'll make sense. I grew up in a family that was obsessed with appearances. My father was the kind of man who measured worth by the size of your house and the brand of your car. My mother wasn't much better. She worshipped money and despised anything that didn't shine. My grandparents were the opposite. They lived simply, loved fiercely, and didn't care what anyone thought. My grandmother, especially, she was the heart of that family. Her name was Evelyn, but everyone called her Nana. She smelled like cinnamon and lavender, always had a plate of cookies ready, and somehow managed to make everyone feel safe. Except my parents hated that she loved me more than my cousins. You see, I wasn't the golden child. My brother, Ethan, was. He was charming, loud, and always knew how to make my parents proud. I, on the other hand, was quiet, bookish, and never quite fit in. Nana used to tell me, "That's your strength, not your flaw." When I was little, I'd spend weekends at her house helping in her garden, watching old movies, and talking for hours. Those were the only times I ever felt truly happy, but as I grew older, things changed. My parents started visiting Nana less and less, especially after my grandfather passed away. They said she was getting old and senile, but I knew the truth. They were angry because she refused to sell her land. That land was worth a fortune. It wasn't just any property. It was her late husband's ancestral farmhouse, sitting on over 10 acres of prime land near the city. Developers had been trying to buy it for years. Nana always refused, saying, "This house is the soul of our family. I won't let it become another shopping plaza." My father called her stubborn. My aunt called her crazy. I called her brave. When Nana got sick, everything fell apart. Cancer, stage 4. I spent as much time as I could with her, making her tea, helping her walk, listening to her stories. My parents rarely visited. My aunt only came around to ask about financial matters. I noticed she'd bring folders and papers every time, and Nana would just shake her head and tell her to stop. One night, when I was helping Nana to bed, she whispered something I'll never forget. "When I'm gone, the vultures will come. Promise me you'll stay calm." I promised. When she passed away 2 months later, it broke me. I cried harder than I ever had in my life. My parents, meanwhile, acted like it was just another family duty to get through. My father even said, "At least now the property will finally be put to good use." That made my stomach turn. During the funeral, everyone was whispering. I caught my cousin Rachel saying, "I bet she left everything to your dad." I walked away before I could hear the rest. A week later, my aunt called me, the call that started all this. She told me there'd be a will reading at Nana's house, but that I wasn't invited. When I asked why, she said, "Because you were only a grandchild. The will concerns the immediate heirs." I knew it was a lie. I was one of the only people who cared for Nana in her last days, and they all knew that. They didn't want me there because they were planning something. Still, I decided to show up. I dressed in black, the same dress I wore to her funeral, and drove to the farmhouse. When I got there, everyone was already inside. My parents, my aunt, my uncle, my brother, and the lawyer, Mr. Peterson. They all looked shocked to see me. My father immediately said, "You weren't supposed to come." I looked him straight in the eye and said, "I have every right to be here." The lawyer hesitated, glanced at me, and said, "Actually, miss, your grandmother specifically requested that you be present." The look on their faces. Priceless. I sat down quietly in the corner as the lawyer opened his briefcase. He started reading the will. My grandmother had been thorough. She left sentimental items to each family member, a watch for my uncle, a brooch for my aunt, her piano for my mother. Everyone nodded, pretending to be grateful but clearly waiting for the part about the property. Then the lawyer's tone shifted. As for my estate, including the farmhouse and surrounding lands, he said, I leave it to my granddaughter, Lily. That's me. Silence. You could hear a pin drop. My father's face turned red. My aunt's mouth fell open. My brother muttered, What? And me? I just sat there, frozen. The lawyer continued reading. It is my wish that this house remains with someone who loved it, not someone who viewed it as an investment. My aunt interrupted, shouting, This is ridiculous. She must have been manipulated. My father added, We'll contest this in court. The lawyer calmly replied, You're welcome to try, but Mrs. Evelyn's will was updated in the presence of witnesses and notarized 6 months before her passing. I could feel my heart pounding. I wanted to cry, not out of joy, but out of relief. Nonna had protected me even from the grave, but my family didn't stop there. They started yelling, accusing me of brainwashing, her of taking advantage of an old woman. My mother screamed, You always were the manipulative one, Lily. I stood up, tears burning in my eyes, and said, She loved me. I was there when none of you were. My voice cracked. You abandoned her. The lawyer cleared his throat again and said, There's one more clause. Everyone turned to look at him. Mrs. Evelyn requested that all individuals currently residing in the farmhouse be considered tenants of her estate, with the legal right to remain only under lease agreement approved by her heir, her granddaughter. The room exploded. My aunt jumped to her feet and shouted, What does that mean? The lawyer said, It means, effective immediately, you are tenants. You do not own this property. Miss Lily does. The silence after that was delicious. My father looked like he might pass out. My mother started crying, not the real kind, the performative kind. My aunt stormed out of the room. My brother whispered something I couldn't hear. The lawyer handed me the papers and said, Congratulations, miss. Your grandmother was very clear about her wishes. So that's the situation I was in. My entire family hated me, but for once I wasn't powerless. Before I tell you what happened next, I want you to pause for a second and think, what would you have done if your whole family tried to erase you, and suddenly you held all the power? Would you show mercy or give them a taste of their own medicine? Comment below before I tell you what I did next. Okay, here's what happened. After the will reading, my family refused to leave the farmhouse. They acted like the whole thing was temporary, like I'd come to my senses and sign the property over to them, but I didn't. I stayed quiet for 2 weeks, letting them stew in their denial. Then I sent each of them a letter, drafted by the same lawyer, officially notifying them of their tenancy. They had 30 days to either sign a lease under my terms or vacate the property. When my father got the letter, he called me screaming, You ungrateful brat. He yelled, After everything we've done for you. I calmly said, Everything you've done for me? You mean abandoning Nonna, calling me a burden, excluding me from her will reading. He went silent. I continued, You should be grateful I'm giving you a lease instead of kicking you out right now. He hung up. My aunt sent a long text filled with insults and threats. My mother tried the guilt trip approach. She said, You're breaking this family apart. I replied, You did that long before I was born. By the end of the month, only one of them, my uncle, actually signed the lease. He told me privately that he respected Nana's decision and understood why she trusted me. He's the only one who still talks to me. The rest packed up and left, slamming doors and cursing my name. The day they drove away, I stood on the porch, looking out at the field Nana loved so much. The sun was setting, and I swear, for a moment, I felt her presence beside me. But it didn't end there. A few months later, my father tried to contest the will in court. It backfired spectacularly. The judge dismissed the case almost immediately because of the airtight documentation. The lawyer presented video evidence, Nana herself, sitting in her favorite chair, reading her will aloud and explaining her choices. She said, If you're watching this, it means I'm gone. And if you're upset about my decisions, remember this, You had every chance to show me love while I was alive. Lily did. That's why she gets the home. Watching that video in court made me sob. My parents looked stunned. My father couldn't even look at me. My mother left the room crying. After that, they stopped speaking to me entirely. I didn't hear from them for months. Then one day, I got a letter, not an apology, but a demand. They wanted to visit the property one last time to collect sentimental items. I allowed it. I watched them walk through the house, touching walls they once called old and dusty. My mother paused in front of a family photo and whispered, "She really did love you." I didn't respond. Now it's been over a year. I've restored the farmhouse, kept Nana's garden blooming, and even started a small bed and breakfast in her memory. Every room has a piece of her, her quilts, her photos, her spirit. Sometimes guests ask about the history of the house, and I tell them it belonged to a woman who believed love mattered more than greed. So, was I wrong to let my family face the consequences of their own actions? Some people might say I should have forgiven them, but I don't think forgiveness means erasing the truth. They treated Nana like a burden, and they treated me like a nuisance. She gave me the home because she trusted I'd protect it, and I did. If you were in my place, would you have done the same thing? Would you let them stay, or would you have kicked them out? 2. Tell me your thoughts in the comments. I really want to know what side you're on. And if you think Nana did the right thing, give this video a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe for more real life stories like this one, and share your opinion below. I'll see you all in the next story.